Hi everybody, it's Tatiana and today I'm coming to do a review of She Would Be King by Waiyetu Moore. This is a debut novel and I am going to sit this behind me because I do have notes so I can look at those as I am going through this review. I will be completely honest in stating this is my second attempt at doing this review. The first time that I did it, there was just too much going on in the world and everything was fresh and my mind was all over the place and I was not able to gather my thoughts and have them sound anywhere near as intelligent as I think I am. And I don't think I'm the smartest person in the world, but I am definitely smarter than what was coming through on my first attempt at this review. So here we go for take two. This was a very interesting read. It was a different kind of read. When I first started reading it, I thought it was going to be a compilation of short stories with the way that the first part was going, but it kind of sort of is. It's the combination of individual stories about different characters in the book, and then later on in the book they all come together. So part one would be all of their stories separately, and then part two is when they meet up. We start with the story of Besa, who is born and declared cursed because of the day and the circumstances around her birth. And whether or not she's cursed is truly unknown, but the ramifications of that declaration go throughout the story, and yeah, that was very interesting. The characters that surround Besa's story, whoa. You have her relationship with her mom, and because she is cursed, she's not able to be around the general public. She is literally, like, everybody knows she's living, but she's kept in hiding. No one can talk to her. So she's raised as this ostracized person, and she makes a connection with somebody, and the way that relationship develops, I was not a fan of. Not that for the actual story, I enjoyed the way that the story was written, but I wasn't a fan of that relationship and the toll that it had on Besa and her fixation on her friend, who really just wasn't a good person. That's Besa's story. And then also with Besa's story, you have the story of Norman Aragorn, who, like, in reading his name, I kept thinking Aragog from Harry Potter, and then Aragon by Christopher Paolini, but it's spelled with an A. It was, every time I read his name, I was like, I'm never going to get this right. And from the start of his story to the end, I completely kept messing his name up. He is the son of, I don't remember, is it Jamaica? Of a Jamaican woman, and the whole circumstances that surround his birth. And I actually just realized in stating twice the circumstances around their birth, because it's the same thing for the third character, whose name is John Day. That is the connection of these characters. It's the situation, is how they are born. Holy crap, like, that just clicked as I was talking. But yeah, these three characters, Besa, Norman, and John, are brought together in the second part of the story, and it's really their stories coming together with the fourth character. The actual fourth character, whose name is Charlotte, she was my favorite character of the characters in the story. Her story was my favorite story. And it's still, again, circumstances of her birth, but her birth as we see her in She Would Be King is different from the births of the other characters. And yeah, her story is so good, and the way that the magic that comes from her story impacts the other characters in the novel, not the other main characters, so to speak, but secondary and tertiary characters in John's story. It's really, really interesting and really good. I keep saying interesting. I need a thesaurus. I really enjoyed this book for the look that it gives at the creation of the founding of Liberia in Africa, as well as the effect of the slave trade from those who came back to Africa after they were taken, and the naivete of people during that time frame and thinking that in them getting back to Africa they are safe, when that was not the case. And yeah, I really enjoyed the story. I will say it's not a perfectly written story. It's a debut novel. There are going to be some hiccups, and I do think the story has some hiccups, but there were some quotes in this story that, holy crap, were awesome. And I tabbed the crap out of this, but I found that quote: "Alike spirits separated at great distances will always be bound to meet, even if only once. Kindred souls will always collide, and strings of coincidences are never what they appear to be on the surface, but instead are the mask of God." When I read that quote, that is what made me go get out my tabs, because I was like, I've got to make note of that and keep that, because I thought it was just so beautiful. And there are a lot of passages that are beautiful like that, but also with some of the characters. I could turn this book around so that you can see the front while I'm waving it. Also with some of the characters and their refusal to believe the words of people who come to warn them. In reading this during this time period, I am still coming to terms with some of my feelings for this book. I really did enjoy it off the bat. Just where I am right now, I would give it 3 stars. But I'm still coming to terms with this story, because I think the way that it ends is very apropos for the time that we are in. And I won't say what that ending is, of course, because that is a spoiler. But it speaks to a lot overall. It speaks to a lot about the existence and the experience of Africans and African Americans in the United States and in Africa, and where we get everything from that make us us, and then also the attributes that we take on of our oppressors, and how we use those attributes to categorize our counterparts and make our own classes, whether they are valid or not. So yeah, that is, hopefully this made sense, because I'm not doing this again. If this is garbage, y'all are just going to get this garbage review. But hopefully that makes sense. That is my review of She Would Be King by Wayetu Moore. I will recommend it. I think this is a very good debut novel with everything that goes into it. It is a very different novel, and that difference is a plus in itself. So yeah, that's all that I have for this video. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.